Hey guys. So a couple days ago, well, lately, I've been seeing a lot of posts about Jenkins and for continuous integration and building PHP projects, and that didn't really make sense to me since you just usually throw some PHP files on a server and you're good to go. I didn't understand the whole build process, so that intrigued me, and I also didn't quite understand once I learned what Jenkins could do. I didn't understand where it fit into the development process, and so I asked I posted a text post on Reddit and got some good feedback, and so I decided to start playing around, and I set up Jenkins after that, and it's a pretty painful process for a beginner. So this is my attempt to start from scratch and show you the steps I've taken to get everything set up. So the first thing I did was go to Puffit, and I'm using DigitalOcean to host Jenkins. And so I click on the DigitalOcean's tab, and then if you run into problems getting a VM set up with DigitalOcean, I recorded a previous video showing the problems I ran into and the solution I came up with. So I encourage you to go watch that. But anyway, I'm running Ubuntu Precise, and then you input your API credentials, and then I'm running Nginx and MySQL. And then another important part is well, past it, the PHP extensions. One of the build tools uses PHP 5.xsl, so make sure you have that. It's a whole lot easier to let Puffit and Vagrant install it for you than to do it manually. So do that, and then once you got the VM booted up, you can start installing Jenkins. So this is what I have here. This is my freshly booted VM. I have nothing installed on it except what I define in Puffit. So the first thing I want to do is do an apt-get update. Update everything, and then I want to apt-get install Jenkins. Enter. And then I should mention that I'm going to run into some problems. It's a kind of a lengthy process, and there's a lot of parts to get wrong. So hopefully I can get through those and can show you what I've learned. But once Jenkins is installed, you should be able to go to port 8080 on your VM, and it should be Jenkins should be starting up. So before the video, I can show you, but I just set up a line in my host record to point. So this is my IP address to the VM, and then I'm just pointing that to digitalocean.dev, just in case you see digitalocean.dev in my up here and get confused. Let's see where we're at. Okay, so I got Jenkins installed, so it should be good to go if I go to port 8080. And there we go. But we need to do some stuff first. And this is the article that I saw posted to Reddit, and I followed its directions and got the skeleton project to build and saw what all Jenkins could do and thought it was really cool, but I couldn't figure out how that would work in a real development cycle. Because I guess it assumes that you're going to SSH into the VM and issue a git pull and then manually build your project. which that's not very real world, and kind of, I don't know, the major advantage to having Jenkins is to get it automated. So I'll show you what I did to get it automated. But so we're not going to go by this step by step, but we're gonna take a lot from it. So I've copied these commands out into just a blank document, so because they're easier to copy out when you have the whole line. So the first thing we want to do is, I didn't copy this one. Copy this command and issue that in your VM. And then I can get started with these. Which installs the plugins. But okay, so previously I've had trouble with that step, and what you need to do, if you do, is go to Manage Jenkins and then click on Manage Plugins and then go to Advanced and then click this Check Now, and then after it checks for the updates, you can install. You can reissue that command to install all those plugins, and that's what I've had to do before. But it looks like I didn't need to do that this time. So, and then now we need to, well, it says restart it, but I'm gonna just try to go ahead and, I better not. I'm just gonna restart it. Restart Jenkins. So now if you update this, it should tell you that Jenkins is restarting. Yep. And restarting Jenkins always takes a little bit. So after we restart it, it's telling us to install curl, but Puffit already installed curl for me, so I don't need to do that. And then this command goes and grabs the PHP template, which is what we want to use for our job. So, okay, so Jenkins is rebooted. So now we can go and copy that to grab the PHP template. And we have that now. And now we can restart it again. And after you install that template, it says to go to change the permissions for that template. So if we go to var lib Jenkins jobs, list out, we can see that PHP template right there. And then we can do a chown r Jenkins, the user in the group, and pass it the template. So that assigned it ownership. So now Jenkins should be able to create and delete anything within there, which I'm not so sure is the case because I've run into some trouble before, but we'll see. So now we need to go install the latest version. So we're running 1.424.6, and there's a new version. So what you need to do is click the download link, and that will download a Jenkins.war file. And what you need to do is upload that to your VM. So to do that, you can use the scp command, which I have right here. But you have to do it outside of your VM. So you do scp, and then you give it the path of the downloaded war, and then your SSH connection info, which is root, and then at whatever your IP is that your VM is using, and then you pass it where you want the .war file to get copied to. So if I copy this, and then outside of the shell, so just from my computer, I can do that, and that will start uploading that new version. And it always takes a while. But what we can do in the meantime is set up a sample project that we can build. So I have this Jenkins demo PHP project set up to use. So you can go and clone this and test Jenkins out with this project. And basically, it's a fresh install of Laravel. And then I've added so in this website, this Jenkins PHP template website, it has some sample build.xml files, and so basically I've copied this and then modified it slightly. So in here it points to source a lot, and so I point all of those to the app directory in Laravel, so it's actually looking at code and building off of that. But other than that, it's all pretty much verbatim, I think. And then I have all of these extra files that each of the build tools rely on. So that's what you'll see right here. I got the main one, and then a bunch of sub build files. So what we can do is clone this. Let's open up a new window. And then cd into some place that we want to keep our Laravel demo project. So I'll just use my sites directory. And then I'll clone it into a Laravel project directory. And there I have it. Let's get rid of this. And then open up Sublime or a text editor of your choice. And then let's cd into there, cd Laravel project. And then let's check out develop. And now we're on the develop branch, and that's important for later. And then we can, so after you've cloned the repository, you can go in and create one for yourself. So I'll call this Laravel project. And then you have some existing code to push up. So you can do a git remote set URL origin, and then pass it your git URL. And then push all of it up. So now if you refresh this, you should have a cloned sample project that you can use with Jenkins with both a master and develop branch. So now that we got that set up, we got a little bit longer to wait for the new version. Go in here and edit this just to make sure everything's synced up and working. Push origin develop, 'cause we're on the develop branch. And there we go. So if we go back to the source, you should see the little addition that we made. And if you haven't already, if none of this is working, you need to set up an SSH key, which I show you how to do in another video where I show you how to get Laravel set up in a VM. So check that out if you get stuck. It's a pretty simple process. I'll even show you later because we're going to need to set up an SSH Key Pair for our VM and Bitbucket so they can communicate back and forth. I've had trouble after I've uploaded this jenkins.war file because you need to restart Jenkins, and I haven't figured out the smoothest way to do that because it throws a bunch of it looks like Java exceptions whenever I restart it, and we might see that, but hopefully not. And if we do, I think I know a way around it. Okay. So now that that file is uploaded, we can restart Jenkins. So I'm gonna try to do it this way, and manually stop Jenkins. Well, you know what? We might be able to get away with installing some plugins first. See what happens if we click that. Okay, manage plugins. Oh, we're probably gonna have to update them, so we need to restart it. Yeah, okay. So if we copy this stop command, or we might be able to do this. Just put restart, and it'll ask us if we're sure. We'll say yes. Yeah, okay. That worked a lot smoother than last time. Previously, I've had to issue this stop command and then start it back up using that. But it doesn't look like I have to do that this time. Okay. Now, so if we go, yeah, see now we were running 1.4.1.424.6, I think, and now we're running 1.5093. So we're good to go. So now I have some updates. So I'm going to go install all of these just to be safe. And then previously when I've done this, it says it will restart because I clicked restart Jenkins when updates are downloaded. And that's what I expect to happen right now, but that's not happening. So I'm not sure what the deal is with that. But if we go to available and do a search on Git plugin, and we want this one that's just titled Git plugin, we want to download that. Okay. So now we have all our plugins downloaded, but I don't think they're installed yet, and you have to reboot it to get for those plugins to take effect. And I think this is the part where I haven't had a graceful way to restart it, because I think I tried that same trick, just doing a restart here, and I got a bunch of exceptions thrown. So I'm going to try this to manually stop it and restart it, and we'll see what happens. Let's go refresh this. Okay. That seemed to work out. Before we go any further, though, let's set up some security, because right now anybody can access your Jenkins install and do whatever they want, which is never good. So if we go to Manage Jenkins, and then Configure Global Security, Enable Security, and then we want to use Jenkins own user database, and then we want to allow users to sign up. Because if you don't do that, you'll get locked out of your own Jenkins, which is not good. And I've done that before. So, but we want to use matrix-based security. And so, if you use this, anybody will be able to come to your Jenkins install and register an account. But if you have this matrix-based security, they won't be able to do anything. They can't get in or do anything. So what you want to do is put the username that you are going to create in this field and click add, and then give this future user all access by checking all these boxes. Okay, I'm going to save that. So immediately we get taken to this login screen because we just set up security. And if you do end up locking yourself out, I'll post this link somewhere. But what you can do is stop Jenkins with this command, and then use Vim and go in and edit the config.xml file and set the use security to false, save that, and then restart it, and it will restart it in an insecure mode, and you can go back and do it the right way. I've had to do that. But we want to create an account with the username that we just specified. And once we do that, we're back in and we have all access. Okay. So now let's set up a job. So let's go back to Jenkins, new job, and then you can name this whatever, but for this demo I'm going to keep with my Laravel project name, and then you want to copy existing job, and you want to copy that PHP template that we downloaded. Click OK. Alright, and now we have to configure our job. So that Git plugin put this section in. So if we press the Git radio button, and since we set up our project, we can go to its home page and get its URL and paste that in there. But Jenkins doesn't have an SSH key pair set up with Bitbucket, so that's not going to work just yet. So we need to go set that up. So what we do is we change to Jenkins, sudo su Jenkins, and then we can go to cd into var lib Jenkins, and then we want to cd into .ssh, and then we want to create a key pair. So we can do that by this SSH keygen command. -t rsa -c and then your email. Do that, and then it's going to ask if you want to save it to ID_RSA, which is the default. Just push enter. You do, and then this is important. You do not want a passphrase, so don't enter any or don't put anything there, and just press enter, and then press enter again, and it'll create it. So now if we list out, we can see our private key and our public key. So we want to see what our public key is, because Bitbucket needs to know about that. So we can cat rsa.pub and then copy this section, our public key, and then go to Bitbucket, manage account, SSH keys, and we want to add a key, and this is my Jenkins key, and then you just want to paste it in there. Add that. Go back to Jenkins, copy this out, and then paste in it again. Oh, that should have worked. You know what, we might need to do this. SSH-t git at bitbucket.org. Yeah, and then this is kind of to establish the connection. Push or enter yes, and then it will tell you that shell access is disabled, which is normal. That confused me at first. So now if we go do this, it works. There we go. And then it asks for the branch we want to build. So in I guess what's common is not to do your development on the master branch, but create a develop branch and do all your development on that, and then build off of that branch, which I have done in my Laravel project repo. There are two branches, the master and the develop. So I guess I should probably back up and tell you what this is doing. So whenever this build runs, it's going to clone this repository and then run a bunch of tools that we've downloaded using Composer to output different reports and API documents and run our tests and a bunch of other stuff. So, and then down to the next section, we want to build triggers, and then authentication token can be whatever you want. It's probably meant to be a random string, but I'm just going to use the word build for this demo, and that's going to allow us to hit a URL, a Jenkins URL, and that'll trigger a build to go off. So we can hook Bitbucket into Jenkins to make those to automate this. We want to delete invoke ant and then add execute shell and then do a composer update, and then we want to add another one. And then if we do, whoa, oh. Let me find it. It's this. If we want to run fing, which uses our build.xml file to do the testing and measuring and all of the build stuff. So we paste that in there, and then leave all of this the same. And then here, this is an error in the PHP template, because this is publishing basically it just creates a link on your project page that points to the API documentation that the build generates, and this path is wrong. What you want to point it to is build API/HTML. So change that and then save this. And then you want to enable it. And then before we go any further, let's go change the ownership of our Laravel project workspace. So let's go to var lib Jenkins jobs, and then we see our Laravel project in PHP template. So we can chown-r Jenkins Laravel project. Enter. And now that we've done that, let's build it. Let's attempt to build it. It's not going to work, but we can see why by going to the console output. Yeah, and it's complaining because it's trying to add a tag via Git, and it can't without Git knowing who it is. So if we go to, I should have go back to here and then go into our Laravel project and then git config user email, and then pass it your, probably want to pass it the project owner's email. I'm not sure it matters. Ooh. Let's see. Maybe if we just do the global, it might work. Unknown option get. Oh, did that wrong. Goes after config. Whoa. And then we can change this to Jenkins user name to Jenkins. And then let's try it again. Build. Fails immediately again. Okay. So this always breaks the first few times, and I haven't figured out the correct way to do this. But what you can do is cd into the workspace and then do a composer dump autoload and then a composer install. This will take a while. And what I found is if you skip this and keep trying to build it in the Jenkins GUI, it's going to break because Composer is trying to hit GitHub too many times to get vendor packages. And so I found that you need to do it at least once through the terminal, because it will prompt you with your GitHub username and password. And I think you need to do that to set up that connection. But what we can do in the meantime is set up our Bitbucket hook. So we can go to Jenkins, manage Jenkins, manage users, and then click on the user you created and click configure. And then click show API token, and then you need this to hook into to create a hook. So now that I have that, I can go click on my repo, this cog button over here, and then set up a hook, and then add a Jenkins hook. And then your endpoint is your username, your Jenkins username, the API token that we just copied, and the IP address, or if you've set up your domain name, you can use that, and then the port that Jenkins is running on. So if we copy this as our endpoint, and then our project name in Jenkins is Laravel project. This is in Jenkins, not this one. And then our token we specified as build. So if we save that, refresh this. Yeah, okay, so that should be set up. So Let's check where we are on this guy. Yeah, okay, so this is where it's asking me for my GitHub credentials. And I think you need to do that at least once. Okay, so let's clear all that out. And then let's try it. Let's go back to let's go back to the Jenkins homepage, click on the Laravel project, and then watch in this area, and hopefully we'll see a build get queued up here. So if we go back to the project you've cloned and change something on the develop branch, and then commit that. So not that one. Git commit -am testing build git push origin develop. And there it is. So I'm not sure if it will work or not, but we can click on it, click on the console, and then watch it do its thing. Watch it attempt to build the project. And what you're probably want to do is because I think this hook that we set up, it doesn't matter which branch gets committed to, it will always initiate that hook. It'll always ping our Jenkins, which initiates that build. So what you'll probably want to do is point this to a PHP script served up by your VM, and then because it will what it's doing is it's posting JSON to that endpoint, and Jenkins knows how to interpret that. So what you'll probably want to do is look at the branch name, and then based on that branch name, issue a post request to, well, not that, but not this URL, but whenever you specified your build token, right under that it showed you a URL that you could post or issue a GET request to that would initiate a build. So you'll probably want to do that because I don't think you'll want to build on every branch commit. Well, there we go. It looked like it worked, which is pretty amazing since I've had so much trouble with this in the past. So if we go back to the project, we have a blue ball which indicates this success, and then we have all of this. We have a code coverage report. We got, I think this is, it measures your unit tests, and then this is the link I was talking about that we fixed in our build. If you clicked on this link before we fixed it, it would lead to a 404, but now you can see we have this, our API documentation, and these are just methods I put in there to test the API generation, which is it's just pretty sweet. And that was done for us automatically because we specified that in our build.xml, which uses PHP docs, which is right here. And then that looks for this file. And so I pointed it to the output to, well, we don't really care about the output. That's already set up. But for the source to look in the Laravel's app directory. And I'm sure there's probably some more things you can add to this to ignore certain files or only generate documentation for certain files, but I just haven't explored that. But that's really cool. And then you can look at your tests. So we only had one test and it passed. And then in your configuration, you can set up post build actions. Add post build action. And you can set up email notifications to get fired off to warn you of bad builds. But I haven't explored that too much. But that's one thing I want to test out, is to figure out how to initiate a build and then have the initiator of the build get emailed of the failed build. But I haven't gotten that far. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Kind of a long process, but I think it's going to be worth it. I think this is really cool. But yeah, hopefully that was clear enough. And if you guys want me to, I'll probably create a gist of some of the commands that I used. But if you guys want me to, I've been thinking about starting a blog to kind of document some of these things that I've been trying out. So if that at all interests you, comment on the Reddit post or subscribe to the YouTube channel or something. Just let me know that you'd be interested. Otherwise, I'm just gonna pass. But if you guys want me to do that, I've been meaning to do it anyways, but that would encourage me. But anyways, hope you learned something. Good luck with everything. Yeah, we'll see you next time.